Hi there, and welcome to another tale from the tanks. Today I profile for you one of the true soldiers of the aquarium hobby, the Bronze Corydoras. They've been with me through thick and thin over the last 5 years and deserve a big shout out. So let's dive in. The Bronze Corydoras, also known as Corydoras Aeneus, no really, is a small armored catfish that usually grows to about 6 to 7 centimeters or around 2.5 inches. They get their name from their beautiful metallic bronze and green sheen which really shines under aquarium lighting. In the wild, these fish are found across South America, particularly in slow-moving rivers and streams of the Amazon basin, where the substrate is soft and sandy. Their natural environment gives us clues about how to care for them in the aquarium. One of the reasons Bronze Corydoras are so popular is their tolerance for a wide range of water parameters. Ideally though, keep them in water temperatures between 22 and 28 degrees Celsius, that's 72 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit in the old language. The pH should sit somewhere between 6 and 7.5, though they can adapt to slightly harder or more alkaline water if needed. Regular water change and stable conditions are important. Bronze Corydoras are very adaptable, which is why they're such a staple in community tanks. If you want to keep a small group, 6 is probably a good number, a tank size of around 80 liters or 20 gallons is usually the minimum for a small group, but bigger is always better. They are very social, so while I initially only had 2 of them, limited by the tank size, which I started out with 5 years ago with 57 liters, which they shared with 6 Harlequin Rasboras and a couple of Otocinclus. Once they moved into a bigger tank, I added the 2 Venezuelan cories that you see in some of the footage here, and they get along very well together. Add plenty of plants, driftwood and hiding spots to mimic the natural environment. They also need some open areas of substrate where they can forage together. They prefer fine or smooth gravel substrates because they spend most of their time sifting through the bottom for food. Sharp gravel can damage their sensitive barbels, so a smooth surface is best. I used to have a layer of lava rock in my first tank, such as the stuff here, and after a while I noticed that the cories' barbels had almost completely disappeared. Luckily, they grew back once I had removed that type of substrate and replaced it with something more smoothly rounded. They do dig through the ground rather vigorously, so it's really no surprise that they damage themselves on sharp edges. They also, as a result, have a habit of uprooting your plants and collapsing gravel mounds or things you build in there, so be mindful of that. Another thing to look out for is if you have decorative stone like dragonstone that I use in some of my tanks. The cories regularly squeeze through small gaps and injure themselves in the process, which results in some fluffy fungus growing on parts of their body. Initially, I took them out when that happened and quarantined them in the tank where I medicated against the fungus. While this of course helped, I quickly learned that as long as the tank they're in is otherwise a healthy environment, they will heal by themselves. They're real troopers like that, but of course you want to prevent them from getting injured, so smooth pebble is better than any rock with sharp edges. Feeding them I find real easy. In the wild, they dig up their food by going through the gravel as we discussed, and they eat any organic matter and protein that they find there. So in the aquarium, that means they eat any pellets, algae waivers, I feed them bloodworms, they go after brine shrimp once it sinks to the ground, and any leftover foods from the fish, from what you give to the other fish. In my experience, as long as you are observing them getting their share that way, and they stay well fed, that's fine. I feed Sarah Immune Pro Mini to all the inhabitants of that tank where I have the cories, and frozen bloodworms in Seachem Garlic Guard for a treat on Sundays. And the cories are happy as they can be with that. In fact, cories of some kind I keep in each of my larger tanks as part of the cleanup crew to ensure no food leftovers build up. As for tank mates, I kept them with harlequin masboras, with tetras of a number of varieties, sparkling gouramis, otocinclus, even dwarf cichlids such as German blue rams or Apistogramma cacatoides, in a larger tank only, where the aggression during feeding of those fish does not lead to the cories missing out on their share. That all works fine. Bronze cories are very peaceful, but can be quite boisterous, knocking things over or uprooting plants as they go about searching for food. They're never aggressive against other tank mates though. Even the cherry shrimp and Australian algae-eating shrimp in this tank are doing just fine. As for breeding them, I don't have any first-hand experience with that myself yet. They're egg layers, and they do not look after their eggs, so the eggs and the parents would have to be separated once that happens. There's lots of sources out there for information in Google Land where you can look that up. Bronze Corydoras are the hardiest fish I've been keeping, but they do have some vulnerabilities. Damaged barbels from the rough substrate I already mentioned, but they're also sensitive to poor water quality, so keep up your regular water changes. Because they breathe atmospheric air using a modified intestine, you see them darting to the surface and gulp some air every now and then. That's normal, unless it becomes excessive, at which point you might have a problem with the oxygenation of your tank. So there you have it, the Bronze Corydoras, a little unassuming but hardy, peaceful, social and full of character. I think they're a fantastic choice for both beginners and experienced fish keepers alike. If you're looking for a small catfish that brings life to the bottom of your tank, you really can't go wrong with these little armored beauties. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and share it with your fellow fish keepers. I'll see you in the next Tale from the Tank. Goodbye.